Women, for all intents and purposes, are the mothers of nations, and they perform the most important function in society. I mean, life would have been empty if no women were to exist. But did you know that pregnancy used to take a real toll on women? I mean, they still do today, but even more so previously, and their role in childbirth cannot be overemphasized. The process and the agony they pass through is beyond anything we can imagine. Unlike places where pregnancy is solemnly dealt with by women, in Mesoamerica, when it comes to pregnancy, the whole family is involved to the extent that the process of pregnancy and childbirth don't just revolve around medical procedures, but also religious and spiritual beliefs. That's why in today's video, I'll be showing you what pregnancy is like in Mesoamerica. But before we dive in, I would really appreciate it if you gave us a like, subscribe to our channel, and maybe click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you. Hey, so let me tell you a story about Mesoamerica. Mesoamerica is a Greek word that means Middle America. It's comprised of a diverse group of people who share strong cultural and historical ties. It is the home of the Mesoamerican civilization. Mesoamerica's exact geographical scope shifted over time as the civilization spread north and south from its southern Mexico base. Because they have this underlying cultural idea that the universe was preserved through continuous sacrifice, various forms of ritual sacrifice were frequently practiced. I'm sure you're wondering what kind of sacrifice would be made for pregnant women. Pregnancy in Mesoamerica is a feminine and communal experience that goes beyond procreation, in the sense that the pregnant woman's family looks after her at every stage of her pregnancy. The lady is never alone during this process. They're cared for and given advice at every step of the way, before becoming pregnant, during labor, and afterwards. This is a common practice for them because conception is both a social act and a divine purpose. The pregnant couple was saddled with social and even divine obligations. What I find strange is the widespread belief in Mesoamerica that there's a significant link between pregnancy and death, presumably due to a higher mortality rate during the birthing process. When we compare general knowledge of pregnancy to that of Mesoamerica, we see that it differs. So, what is the common conception of pregnancy? Biologically, you'll agree that pregnancy is a natural and human reproductive process that has 3 stages: pregnancy, labor, and puerperium. And you're probably aware that some biological changes occur during pregnancy, such as the cessation of menstruation, and also an increase in belly and breast volume, and a darkening of the nipples. Whereas in Mesoamerica, there is a cultural notion of pregnancy along with this biological aspect. And I'm curious how the family is going to share the responsibility with pregnant women. Being pregnant was a state that concentrated on the woman's womb, her core bodily area. Their condition at the time was one of bodily imbalance, necessitating care from not only those who would become the father and mother, but also close relatives, as well as medical and legal professionals. But let me concentrate on the Nahua culture of Mesoamerica. The physiological process of women are connoted here from growing to birthing, and as a result, a set of norms and protocols have to be followed. There are cultural, linguistic, ritual, and social ties that complicate the pregnancy process in this location. The Mesoamerican world divides the feminine into 3 biological stages: childhood, piltontli, youth, ichpuchtli, and old age, sihatlapalihui. And the big turning point here is when she starts menstruating and her fertility begins to decline. Women in Mesoamerica had to fulfill various social tasks, the most important of which was parenting. And they derived their femininity during this process. See, women are a crucial aspect in Mesoamerican culture as she is the link between humanity and divinity, because they could beget and carry life, a channel of life through which the deities designated existences. However, each culture had their own story to tell. But still, the cultures in the region were similar to each other in diverse ways, such as a reliance on the cultivation of maize, vigesimal number systems based on the number 20, and the use of 2 calendars, a 260-day ritual version and a 365-day solar version. They were also similar in the practice of sacrifice, pictographic and hieroglyphic writing systems, and similar linguistic and grammatical qualities. It's also paramount in Mesoamerica that midwives are to enter the steam bath with the parturient before, during, and after childbirth and administer a variety of messages and treatments. According to a record from the 17th century, childbirth took place in the steam bath rather than in the house. It was said that the steam bath's popularity grew due to midwives' and doctors' beliefs that heat was linked to the mother's health and survival. So to replenish the heat loss produced by birth, the midwife could provide the mother with a steam bath or a hot chocolate drink. That's new to me. I mean, I don't know if that's interesting to you. Hope it isn't too bold of me to assume that that's interesting. But what interests me the most is that the steam bath is still used in Mexican indigenous communities, both for women before and after childbirth, as well as for babies and as a preventative measure. It's also customary in Mesoamerica for pregnant women to wear a red ribbon around their waist, but this ribbon should not be visible. That is, it should be wide to protect the mother and child from envy, the evil eye, and the evils that lunar movements can cause. This, though, I believe isn't limited to Mesoamerica. Did you know that the ribbon is sometimes placed with small mirrors and some small locks that adjust the clothes? Again, this is all done to protect the mother and the child from envy. The evil eye, once again, and from envy, the evil eye, and the evils that lunar movements can cause. There's a misconception that it's unsafe to go outside during an eclipse or a full moon because of how the moonlight can harm a child, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how true that is, so you might want to do your own research. You'll probably agree that Mesoamericans have a spiritual belief system about correctly handling pregnancy and birth through midwifery practices to ensure the life of both the mother and the baby based on everything I've said today. Some of the practices appear to have been passed down from midwife to midwife and are still practiced today. The main purpose of midwifery practices was to ensure the health of the mother and the child, as well as to appease the gods and to thank them for their help. When I first learned about this, the first thing that popped in my noggin was about how the midwife handles stillbirth, or a case in which the mother died while giving birth. But what's Mesoamerica's position on that? I do understand that the mother didn't live to see her child born, but I find it strange that Mesoamericans believe that the souls of women who died in childbirth, that they're awaiting a specific destiny. These women are actually held in the same regard as warriors who've died in battle. This is because they too have given their lives for a new life to be born. And not only that, but their spirits are said to have gone to the sun in the sky, which was typically reserved for warriors who perished in battle, or individuals who were sacrificed to the sun, just tossed right up there. So if you observe this belief, it can be concluded that the difficulty these women had in bringing their kids into the world was acknowledged and cherished. They were aware that these women had gone through a traumatic event. There's no doubt that women have and always will continue to be social creatures, bearers of cultural representations and disseminate ideas via their daily acts, at least in Mesoamerican culture. And that'll be all for today's video. So thank you for watching. If you liked it, maybe press the button that says you did, and maybe subscribe to our channel and that stuff too. Later.